Yeah, so me and five buddies back in the early 2000s banded together to form a tech company, and then in 2009 I sold my portion, my stock in the company, and then start a consulting company. And really the idea was to take that a success and that experience in sales and sales strategy, and over the years it's morphed. It's just really changed into a bunch of different things. I've worked with manufacturing companies, finance companies. I mean, you name it, right? And one of the things is I found there were always these consistent themes. There are always these consistent activities you needed to do to be able to grow your business and have sales success. And so, I really started to, a few years ago, narrow it down and figure out, like, what is it that why have I had success over the years? What worked, what didn't. So I wrote my book, which my book's done editing. I just got to publish it, but it's one of those things where I can't just half go into things. Mm-hmm. And so I don't feel like if I launched my book right now that I would give it the time it's due, and I don't want to do that, right?
Yeah.
But one of the key components is a one-page sales plan, and that's something I can teach on today. I can teach immediately. And I'd done it for Thrive, and then just most recently Survive and Thrive over at XI.
Nice.
And really just
And Thrive's an organization that helps budding entrepreneurs, right? Welcome to the Colorado Springs Business Podcast, where we discuss business principles and provide real-life insight into the lives of everyday business owners and entrepreneurs. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe or leave a review wherever you might be listening. Now, let's talk business.
Yeah, so Thrive is really cool. It was designed to be a program that helps entrepreneurs and underserved communities, and it's a spinoff of Ice House, if you guys have heard of that. Mm-mm. And it focuses on the southeast part of town here. Because they just don't have the opportunity. So they meet in the southeast part of town, and they take them all the way from inception to full-blown pitch.
Nice.
And helping them launch their business. And so as one of the Thrive faculty members or teachers, I teach my one-page sales plan. And the Survive and Thrive grant program was really designed to bring an influx of money and to help businesses post-COVID over at XI, which we just wrapped that up as well. And so I love to teach that one-page sales plan. Mm-hmm. And so, just kept teaching that process and really helping them sight in that rifle, really help them figure out what the limited resources they have and how to use them properly so they get the intended results,
Nice. What does that one-page sales been kind of look like?
Yeah, so there's a couple different sections. So the first section is you list your services, and what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at it from all the different perspectives. What's the competitive environment? What's your customers look at your service at? What do you look at your service from your perspective? And then what is your profit on that particular service? And it has a scoring system from 1 to 10. And so what you do is you go down these columns and you fill out this information, and then the highest scoring item is the one we're going to focus on. So really looking at, okay, what's going to bring in the best amount of money? What do I enjoy? Where's my blue ocean versus my red ocean, which, red ocean is super competitive. There's blood in the water. You're competing on price, where maybe you have a blue ocean concept or something that's blue ocean in your business that you can make good profit on and enjoy doing, and you're not constantly competing, right? Mm-hmm. And so you analyze that, and then the next section is the client traits. Like, are these clients men or women or high income, low income? Are they into recreational sports, whatever? You just list that because you're trying to figure out where do these people kind of reside or live, or where can I find these type of customers? And then the next section is actually the action, right? So you have, let's say you want to do Facebook, but maybe and then your subcategories, Facebook groups or Facebook ads or SEO or SEM. So you have all these different categories. So you list all the different things related to that particular campaign, and then you list the cost associated. And then the bottom section is the reap. What am I reaping? What are the benefits, or what did I reap from this particular campaign? And ideally, the goal is 10x. And if you don't get 10x, maybe you make some adjustments. Maybe you do some more, don't do enough, or you're always evaluating this every 90 days, right? And so the other part of that, people kind of look at me funny, is is this something that's fun that I want to do? Because if it's something you hate, like let's say, I know a lot of people that are not fans of social media, right? Mm-hmm. But maybe they're getting the results they have also social media, so maybe they can go out and get a consultant that can do a fractional social media consultant that can take over the social media for them because it's generating revenue. And they can focus then more on things maybe they want to do with their business, like maybe taking donuts to their top referring customer if they have a ATV shop or a realtor that's referring mortgage clients to you. Maybe you get to do some more of that stuff that you deem more fun, right? And that will benefit your business. So that's really the idea with the one-page sales plan at a very high level of how to break down the different categories between your actions and those things.
Yeah. And do you follow up? How do you make sure that someone's taking, because there's one thing of putting together a plan and then the hard part is executing the plan.
Well, yeah, and I think that's, as a consultant, that's one of the things that I really learned is I'd charge a couple $1,000 and I'd get all ready, and then I'd go into a business for a day, and you get the conference room and you do the lunch and do all the things. Then you leave there and everybody's got a plan and they're all excited, and it's like this 20-page sales plan. It's like, yeah. And then what happens, it collects dust because it's complicated and there's so much to go through. And so I said, what is really going to yield results? And that's why this one-page plan is really designed. It goes on cardstock, and then you just pin it on your office wall, and then you always have that right there in front of your face. You're like, am I doing that? Like, because then it's right there in front of you all the time, and it's kind of keeping you on the train on the track, so to speak.
That's great. Is this one-page sales plan, is it applicable to all businesses, or is it for startups specifically, everybody?
Oh, yeah. It's interesting. I've done it in, obviously, the beverage community, which we'll talk about my experience and the things I've learned over the last 5 years here in a little bit. Yeah, I've seen it happen for, like, an oil change, like a Jiffy Lube place. I've seen it happen in manufacturing. I've seen it happen in finance, because really, at the end of the day, after being in sales for over 20 years, there's just consistent things that no matter what industry you're in, no matter what you're selling, no matter what you're doing, they always come up, and the big word there is, consistency. There's a great book, one of my favorite sales books of all time, called The Power of Consistency by Weldon Long. He's actually a local guy here. Tells his story about how he was in jail, was a felon, and his big turning point in life was when his dad passed away when he was in prison. And he's like, I got to change my life, man. This is not good. And just started kind of trying to figure it out. And consistency is one of those epically critical things in sales for sure. And so having that sales plan right in front of you, hopefully will continue to spur that consistent action, right?
We'd like to take a quick break to thank our sponsor, Planet Duct. Let me tell you what, these guys, they've got some powerful equipment. Their fleet of air duct cleaning trucks are equipped with some of the most powerful vacuums you've ever seen. I mean, these whole trucks, the entire truck, is one giant vacuum itself. With their expertise and equipment, they not only get the job done, they get the job done right to maximum efficiency. And you don't want to be breathing in nasty air from having dirty air ducts or having inefficient airflow, so get your ducts clean with Planet Duct right now. Visit planetduct.com. If you're from Colorado Springs, then you've probably seen our next sponsor driving up and down Academy or at any of their other 3 locations here in Colorado Springs and in Pueblo. El Super Taco has authentic Mexican food with locally sourced and fresh veggies and meat that is chopped daily. Be sure to check them out next time you're hungry, and mention the podcast too. I mean, we don't got a code for you, but definitely mention it. Power Tool Safe has a vision to help fight against theft. They've developed technology to help you keep proper records and are building a community of awareness around stolen goods. Sign up today for a free account and register up to $10,000 in tools and equipment. No credit card required. It's as easy as setting up a Facebook account. Imagine having a team of marketing professionals working for your business, making sure that you get the awareness and sales that you deserve. Well, that's exactly what you get with Recon Marketing. With up to 35 plus years in experience and 10 million plus in managed budgets, they know exactly what it takes to put you on the radar. And our final sponsor is my company, Veman Visuals. We produce videos with passion and strong meaning. Our goal is to innovate and push the boundaries of what's possible when it comes to creating powerful visuals that drive results, whether that be in business or in life. We have the production power to produce any kind of visuals you want, from documentaries to YouTube videos to social media content, commercials that are designed for television, 3D animations, and so much more.
That's awesome, man. So you did talk about that you started a tech company in the early 2000s, and from that, you started this consulting company out. Yeah. Did you do sales for that? Like, what was your role in that company?
So that was a great transitional time for me. So if I go back just a little bit further, before that, I was at Lockheed Martin, and I was on a bid win team, and I got my first taste of sales. They actually won about a $400 million contract. It was a monster contract, and I was a very small piece of that, but I got to interface because I was a tech guy. I had my Cisco certs, and I got to interface with the sales team and see what they do, and I was like, man, I really like that. And what I didn't know, and what I didn't anticipate when I went to the startup with me and these 5 other guys, is that when you're in a startup, you wear 20 different hats, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, here's my chance. So they hired a VP of sales. Rob was his name. And he took me under his wing and mentored me. And so we started winning contracts, and I created this system, and we figured things out, and we started winning deals with the government and growing this company. And I was like, yeah, I'm a sales guy. Like, I like the relationship stuff and tech stuff, and, having my Cisco certs was cool and all, but I wanted to do sales. So I just continued to really dive into that. And that really started in earnest around 2006. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So if we dive more into like the sales side, obviously there's so many different things going on. This is a very fun time in just sales because there's so many different avenues people are taking. They're looking at LinkedIn. Email is kind of resurfing again as another form. Cold calls are coming back as well. Yeah. If we dig deep into like the sales do you dig deep into the sales tactics and like what avenues to take depending on what they do when they fill out this 1-page sheet?
So we actually go into the campaign section. We really go into what is that tactic. Like the oil change client, this company, they were getting a lot of their oil changes from ATV shop, right? And so I asked them, well, what do they like? They said they love donuts. I said, so what if you brought them donuts twice a month on a Friday? Wouldn't they love that? Wouldn't that help bump up your referrals? Wouldn't it show your appreciation? Wouldn't it be good for your soul that you actually got to connect with some of the people that are sending you business? I mean, it just creates a lot of goodwill. And so they did that. They created that program and actually were able to increase the referrals even more because now they were top of mind, because sales marketing is really about top of mind, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's just a simple action like that, creating a community, like an online community, like look at what COS Foodies has done for the restaurant scene here in Colorado Springs. Right? Having that kind of community and pouring into COS Foodies, a lot of restaurateurs are seeing the value of really saying, hey, we value you as a community. And then what it does is it creates this great environment for restaurants. So that can be a campaign in itself, right? And the way you interface with a community or a group on whether you're doing online or whether you're actually bringing somebody donuts, both can work, right? Mm-hmm. So
that's so great. You should talk a little bit more about this Survive and Thrive program. I think a lot of our viewers don't know too much about that. I know it was formulated through Exponential Impact, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So Exponential Impact, which is the startup incubator over there off of North Nevada, great facility, great organization. They do these cohorts, which are quarterly, where they'll take 6-8 businesses in, and they have different experts like myself come in and train them on different concepts, whether it's doing P&Ls or doing sales or whatever. And so they had a grant program. I think there was about $2.5 million in that funding post-COVID for some businesses that were still struggling here in the community. So they put that together, and part of it was really cool is they had funding throughout. So you got part of your grant funding in the beginning, part midway through, and then the rest at the end. So it encouraged people to go and learn from mentors over a 2.5 month period. So they had different mentors on community engagement. They had mentors on, the benefits programs and all the different things that employee retention and sales, all these different things to teach these businesses, because we didn't want to just throw money at a problem, right? Because that a lot of times that doesn't solve problems for a business, right? They need that extra mentorship. Maybe there's something, and we saw that happen. We saw really cool ideas come out of there, like, I never thought about doing that for growing my business. Oh, that's a great idea. Hey, and like one of the mentees actually said, you know what, I'm going to do a thank you card, and I'm going to put a $5 gift card to Loyal Coffee in with each thank you card to my customers. Well, that helps because it builds your customer relationship, but then you're also helping Loyal Coffee, which is a local business, and it just created this environment of all these different things we could do to work together and be creative and grow people's businesses, not just say, hey, here's, $5,000 for a grant or whatever. Good luck.
Yeah.
Because what good does that really do, right, at the end of the day? Yeah.
I really wish I had, something like that when I was first starting in the entrepreneurial world and the startup world when I was, 15 years ago, whatever it was. And it's so great that we have those resources now. And you are so plugged in with like the community as a whole. Talk a little bit more about community and cocktails, because I know you're affiliated with, you and the wife are affiliated with that as well, or?
Yeah, so that's a really cool setup. So that's my wife, Tiffany Wieker.
She'll be coming on one day.
We're going to get her on the show, right? And her and Nikki Cesak's creation, they wanted to create an incubator of some sort where, we as business owners are super busy, and we do need education. We do need learning on topics and certain things, but we don't have a lot of time. So getting together once a month, having a panel of experts talk about something really helps business owners. And so they came up with this idea, community and cocktails. Let's have a community of entrepreneurs, educate over a couple cocktails. Right now we're meeting at 1350 Distillery, which has been pretty awesome, the first Thursday of each month, and we're taking January off. But in February, they're actually going to talk about how to spot the red flags if somebody in your business is maybe taking money from you, and what fraud looks like, and embezzlement, and how to prevent that. We're going to have some Yemi speak, and then we're also going to have somebody from the Colorado Springs Police Department talk about some things to prevent, and because they see consistent themes, just like in sales, they see consistent things that happen to businesses that are easily preventable if you just take these 3 or 4 or 5 steps. And so community cocktails I really like, because a lot of times as entrepreneurs we feel we get going so hard, 14 hour, 16 hour, 20 hour days, whatever we're doing, that we kind of get sometimes locked out on an island. And I don't know about you guys, but a lot of times I see, there was this cool ball at the Broadmoor for the chamber and EDC. I'm like, well, I didn't even know about it, I mean, or all these, and I think I'm pretty plugged in the community, but there was this thing for CASA. Well, that would have been nice to know, because we're busy working our businesses, right?
Yeah.
Not that we don't want to network and we don't want to support those organizations, but we kind of sometimes get on an island because we're going 100 miles an hour, right? And so Community Cocktail said, hey, wait a minute, let's just do this thing once a month, try to help entrepreneurs plug in, try to let them know what's going on in the community, and just try to be kind of that little hub so that they can take even a couple hours pause out of the month just to focus on growing their businesses and kind of reconnect, right? Yeah.
That's so cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, and Andrew, you do the videography for that as well, right?
Yeah. And I'll be doing the videography on the next one. And I actually, as you were saying that, since you said you're going to have like a police officer there and talking about fraud, I think I might have someone, if you guys are looking for a sponsor, I think I might know someone who's looking to do more events for their company as well too, and that would be perfect, I think.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah.
And I'm going to talk to you after the podcast, because he wanted to consult with you about that a little bit too, about throwing on his own events specifically. Yeah. To bring the community together around theft. He's actually a sponsor of the show, Power Tool Safe, so I can be
cool. Yeah, connect him with Tiff for sure, man.
So yeah, definitely cool. We're gonna have to talk about that.
Yeah. So.
And you have a lot of experience throwing events too, right?
Yeah, I've thrown events over the years. I wouldn't say I'm an event planner by any stretch, but I know how to get people to a party.
And you're good at emceeing.
That's how I started too. So
I bring the fun.
Yes.
So yeah,
that's so great. You've been so involved in the community for so long. You said early 2000s. So are you a native of Colorado Springs? I don't think I've ever asked you that before.
Oh, so I'm actually a native. Most people don't know Fruita, Colorado, which is way on the west slope.
Oh.
I grew up 24 miles from the Colorado-Utah border. It's kind of cool. They do the roads actually miles from the Colorado-Utah border, so that's how I know I was 24 miles away, right?
Okay.
24 road, right? And joined the Army to travel and see the world. I thought that would be cool and go see some things. I didn't go very far. I ended up stationed at Fort Carson.
Oh, gosh.
But it was cool because I like the springs. Yeah. And I love Colorado. So I just stayed here. I've been here since February of 96 when I came here when I was in the Army. So I've been in the Springs ever since. And, just started out, typical corporate IT stuff. Back then, they were taking anybody with a pulse and a clearance. And just really kind of poured into that. And then just through this journey I've been on, now I'm in the wine business, among other things, which went through a really big pivot in May and made some decisions, and it's really paid off, and it's really kind of been a game changer for me, which is exciting. So, yeah.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what those pivots look like and, where you've been since May. Yeah,
it's interesting. People think the liquor business is easy. And there's certain aspects of it that may be easy in the sense that it's a lot of fun, but it's hard to actually break into it, just like it is anything else. You have to be consistently on top of it, and there's so much noise. There's billions of dollars spent by the big brands like the Bacardis and the Bud Lights and the Coors of the world. I mean, I was just watching Yellowstone last night, and Coors was all over it. And Weller, which is a great whiskey, which I love, was all over it. I'm like, man, I don't have the money to do that.
Brand integration like that.
Yeah, so you use guerrilla warfare tactics in marketing and sales to grow your little brand. And one of the things that I noticed, though, is that no matter how well we are doing, and we're doing pretty good as ever good, but the problem is I didn't have enough headroom or enough cash to be competitive to pay a sales professional in the liquor industry, right? Mm-hmm. They're just these big companies pay people really, really good money, right? And so what happened was Matthew, who's the founder of Evergood, came to approach me in May and knew that things were, sometimes in entrepreneurship things get a little bit difficult, right? You're coming in financial ropes. I know I was part-time driving for Amazon there for a while and doing Amazon Flex, which you guys, it's one of those gig things, kind of like the Grubhub of packaging, right? Just to make ends meet. It was a battle, right? We're in the arena, and so he knew I was struggling a little bit, and it was hard because I would go do my liquor sales all day, and then I go right into working for Amazon in the evening. So I was wiped out, and he said, "Hey, Mike over at 300 Days of Shine in Monument needs somebody to help him sell." So we got together for lunch at the beginning of May. Came up, made a deal, and I was like, this is great. I can add something to my portfolio, increase my cash flow a little bit. And the funny thing is if you go back, it was probably about a year to year and a half prior, I had been chewing, how sometimes you chew on an idea as an entrepreneur, and you're like, I really should do this, but you just keep putting it on pause. You're like, but it keeps hitting you in the face, right? So for the last year, it had been hitting me in the face. It's like, why don't I bring in a few different craft brands into my portfolio, and that way I can increase my cash flow. I already have the industry know-how, I have the relationships, I have the connections, so it'll be a win-win. So things were going really well with Mike, and then about mid-May or so, I was like, why am I not doing this for other companies? Like, you've been thinking about this for a year and a half. What are you doing, dude? You have those talks with yourself. Entrepreneurs, we talk a lot to ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I got it.
So anyway, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to bring in 3 or 4 brands that are complementary to already what I'm doing. That way I can solely focus on my industry and have, a lot of times entrepreneurship is about energy management, right? And if we don't have enough energy to really dedicate ourselves to what we're good at, we just kind of flounder a little bit. And that was happening for me because, I was doing this during the day. I was doing Amazon at night. I was just wiped out. And so you're productive. You're getting sales done, but you're not at your best.
Right.
Really,
hamster
right?
Wheel. Spinning on that hamster wheel.
Yeah, right. And so for me, I made that decision, and all of a sudden stuff started happening. I got a referral to a rum company, which, by the way, That'll be on the shelf starting March 1st. We are officially launching. We got our label approval, formula approval, which is really cool.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have a partial ownership in that, which is cool. So really excited about that opportunity as a rum company out Golden. But we collaborated actually with Black Hat Distillery. They're going to do our bottling and labeling and blending and stuff with us. So great opportunity to collaborate with them. And then I had a tequila company coming out of the woodworks. I had several other companies that I felt were competing with what Evergood was trying to do. So I respectfully declined. Mm-hmm. And then the final one that I took on was Black Hat Distillery in August. And that's been a great relationship. I've helped them through rebranding and some of the stuff that they're doing. And they're starting to see their sales accelerate. They've just came off one of their best months. So, we're getting them going in the right direction, right? And so, it's funny how, really when you make that decision, like, okay, I've been wanting to act on this as an entrepreneur. And now I look at it here. Now I'm in December. I'm like, oh, I hired a contractor. She's doing all my restaurant and bar sales for me. I've got money in the bank. Not that I'm rich or anything, but I'm not floundering right now. I'm actually thriving.
It's good.
Right? And it was all because I made that conscious decision in May. And the cool thing about all this is they're all complementary. There's things that I've learned from the tequila company and relationships that the tequila company's opened up for Evergood. There's things for Evergood that's opened up for Black Hat and vice versa, right? Mm-hmm. They all really work well together because it's all created abundance for everybody because it all kind of interlinks, right?
Yeah.
And so, I think the next step in this is, I've been in some talks with some people and it seems like the industry's going that way to where at some point, I think we're going to see several craft companies band together and maybe co-op resources. Maybe it's logistics, maybe it's, raw materials, maybe it's bottles or, whatever those. But I think that's where the future of the industry really is putting together resources, right? And that all wouldn't have been possible, and I wouldn't have been all aware of these things happening had I just not made the decision like, okay, I'm going to take the jump, right? And so I think that was really important turning point in my business. And so it's been an exciting time since May. It's been very busy, but I'm loving it, man. It's great. I feel happy. I have more energy. I have some money, like I said, in the bank account. I'm like, things are going good, So that's been really nice. I've been able to re-up my gym membership and get back to working out and start to get back in shape. All those little things that I was neglecting because I just didn't have the cash flow to make it happen, right?
And then that can affect your energy too, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah. If you're not in good shape, you're not eating right, and just trying to survive, that affects everything, right?
Mm-hmm. And then that affects your ability to go out and have the motivation to do things. Yeah. And to, acquire other people or even act on your ambitions that you have deep inside.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so great. So, I had a very similar pivot to you with my marketing company.
Yeah.
Because think about me. It's kind of funny. It's also fun to note that like you and I crossed paths like 3.5 years ago because I was doing a tiny house festival still down here in Colorado Springs. Yeah. You almost was part of the I think Evergood. Yeah, it was Evergood that was going to be a part of that festival at the last moment it wasn't able to happen. But it's funny because that's where I met Mike from 300 Days because he was at that festival. So he was one of the vendors at the festival. And it's just crazy to think about that a lot of these names that you're talking about I've met. And the reason why I'm saying there's some similarities and parallels is because like here I am in the tiny house world / van conversion world / all these different types of simpler living, companies. And then so when I opened the marketing company, well, what was my first layer of influence? Well, the tiny house world. Yeah. So I've been able to really have a really good influence and know the industry very well in the van conversion market very specifically. So that's been a lot of our clients for my new company, Recon. 2.5 years, not too new now, but so it's interesting how you pivot and how you operate once you start getting like the knowledge of an industry, and that's so cool. I think you're really going to corner something special, especially here locally, with what you're doing. Like talking about logistics and manufacturing, and even coupling. I've seen you even couple a lot of your clients together in the pairings of like the actual flavors and cocktails. It's just so cool to see you fly, man. It's really inspiring.
Oh, thanks, man. And you bring up a great point. Collaboration is so critical, right? I mean, it's really important when you can also bring two local companies together because then it just kind of helps. And a great example of that is Bell Brothers Brewing just down the street. So they serve the Evergood Heartwarmer product, which is lemon, cranberry, cinnamon, clove. They serve it warm, but they upsell a shot of Black Hat whiskey into it.
Oh, nice.
And make a hot toddy out of it.
That's cool.
So both my clients are winning in that scenario. So, there's some cool little collaborative things that you can do when you start looking at, okay, how do we make this all fit together, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. Why the liquor industry? Was that something that, again, we talk about passions and something that you had a big passion for? I know you post on all the time COS foodies about food and stuff like that. I'm a big foodie too, but is that a passion of yours?
Well, I didn't know it was a passion. I think that's, if I go back a little bit, it's really interesting. I grew up in the restaurant industry, so I started bussing tables in my grandma's restaurant when I was 12. And I love Italian food because I grew up in an Italian family, and I've always been about the food and gathering and, community and conversation. And so, at the time, what was happening is I was consulting for a finance company, and it was good. It's a good company. It's a local company here that I really like, good people, but it just wasn't me. I was still trying to find who James was and what he wanted. What could I really sink my teeth into? I love educating. I love community, but I was still kind of trying to figure out my place in this world, so to speak. And I'd just gotten back from Kazakhstan from a Shark Tank event, and I was on the board at 1 Million Cups, and we had a last minute cancellation from a speaker. And the board looked at me and said, "Hey, do you want to get up and talk about your trip to Kazakhstan?" So threw some slides up on the projector there and started talking about my trip. And a gentleman approached me afterwards and said, "I have this women's shelter in Uganda that I support. It's a 30-bed facility that rescues women from trafficking. Could you make some connections, your international business contacts, to maybe get some training for these women and help them out?" And I said, "Sure, let me check it out, make sure it was legit." And it was legit. And the guy was really cool. And one thing led to another. We met up at a barbecue, and I tried some of his lemon wine. It was really good. I really believe in the book, and we talked about this before. There's a book called The Go-Giver by Bob Berg. And I said,
I already knew what you were going to say, too.
Yeah, right. And because, that's why I teach at places like XI and stuff. I really believe in pouring into people. And so I told him, I said, "Hey, if you want to get together for coffee or lunch, just buy my coffee and you can ping me with sales ideas for this lemon wine that you're trying to pitch." And so one thing led to another, and got into the wine business, right? Did a sweat equity deal and ran his sales and marketing over the last 4.5 years. And really, what I found is that this is my calling. I love the relationship aspect of the liquor industry. It's a very people-based business. I always tell Matthew, the founder of Evergood, I said, "We're not in the liquor business. We're in the people business. We're in the relationship business." And so I really love that. And then, pile on top that I love good food and that I am a whiskey nut. I'm actually working on taking my WSET 1, which is a spirit certification. It's like a sommelier for spirits. They have it all the way through level 4. Even level 4, you have to go to Kentucky or California to test. And
Okay.
I want to get my level 4, and then I want to do the Bourbon Trail and all that stuff. So, that's kind of my long-term plan as far as, industry certifications. But I've really found that over the last 5 years, 4.5, 5 years, that the liquor industry is where I call home, because I love the people and the connections and the relationships that I've built. It's been a really cool experience. So, yeah.
I'm a huge bourbon guy. You're talking to the right crowd. My mom lived in Kentucky, so we did the Bourbon Trail.
Oh, cool.
We're 10 miles away from Woodford Reserve. It's a blast, man. So maybe I can go into business with you. Maybe help me out start a bourbon too. That'd be great.
That'd be cool.
Partner up. You have the certs. So
hey, have you tried the Woodford Double Oaked yet?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's silly good, man.
I put in a decanter. I have a decanter at home with it. Yeah.
I love
great.
that stuff.
Huge
It's
Woodford
awesome.
Fan. Yeah.
The Double Oaked is really good.
I have a question for you. So I didn't know when, and maybe I don't know if either one of you know this, but when did bourbon start up in Colorado? I thought it had to be from Kentucky in the name by definition to be defined as bourbon, but we have Colorado bourbon here, plenty of great ones, Axe and Oak, all these other ones, Breckenridge. Did that start as the past decade? Do you know the history of when that starting up?
So that's common that most people think bourbon has to come from Kentucky. It actually It doesn't, obviously.
Yeah.
There's a couple parameters. One, it has to be a first use barrel. Like you can't. A bourbon barrel can actually become a whiskey barrel, but a whiskey barrel can't become a bourbon barrel because it has to be the first use. There's certain parameters, like you have to have so much corn, so much wheat, in your mash build, and certain things that actually, that's what determines the bourbon more than the location. There's very few things that are location sensitive, like champagne. It has to come from the Champagne area of France, right?
Didn't know that.
Yeah, or cognac. That's why you'll see sparkling wines and different things come from some different areas,
or French fries.
Remember when freedom fries were starting to become a thing? I was like, what? Come on, guys. But there's a few things like that are location specific, but bourbon is not one of them. Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah. Tequila is actually.
Okay,
it actually
it's
has
got
to
come from Tecalac.
Yeah.
No.
Mexico. Yeah, I mean it's a certain region of Mexico, and so and it has to, it has to be a certain amount of agave, and there's certain parameters around that, but very few things. Yeah.
Got it.
We should make a drink that has to only come from Colorado Springs.
There you go. Right. Yeah, it has to be
come
made
from the
here.
Rocky Mountains or Pikes Peak. The top of Pikes Peak.
The
snow melts.
It's that guy who pushes the peanut up the mountain.
There you go. That's
how it's made out of. Apparently, that's been done like
bro.
3 times, like over history, like a few hundred years.
Like,
yeah.
I'm like, more power to you, man. I just don't see how that would be fun, but I commend
People
them.
get
That's
something in their
effort.
head, they want to do it. They go for it, man.
I appreciate the effort, man.
Yeah. To each their own, right?
Yeah.
Different
Yes.
folks, different strokes.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, some people
So-
play video games for hours on end. Some people push peanuts up a mountain.
That's true. Oh man.
You've been involved in this community for a long time. How has it changed through the past 25 years that you've been here, and how do you see the future looking in Colorado Springs?
Wow. Gosh, where do I start, man? Everything's changed here, and it's all been mostly good stuff. I will say, I do kind of become a curmudgeon just because the growth is so much. I'm like, I kind of wish it was still a small town a little bit in certain ways,
Yeah.
but I mean, the food scene, man, it's just outstanding. I mean, the food and the chefs that have come here, like guys like Brother Luck and some of the stuff that people are doing now in the food scene, it's crazy. The distilleries, the breweries we have here. I mean, just some major things like that happening. Look at Powers ended at Woodman at one point, and there was nothing like east of Powers. Basically, it was just dirt fields when I came here. I mean,
It's all orange groves when I was here.
Right. I'm starting to sound like an old man. Well, I am going to be 47 in a couple weeks, so I'm getting up there.
That's a good young age,
Got plenty of time, man.
Yeah.
The age expectancy is going up, so you're good. You're doing good, man.
Yeah. I think the best thing that's happened though is the diversity here. We have so many cool different groups of people here in the Springs now. We have, and what it's created is created these organizations like Thrive that focus on the disadvantaged people in the Southeast, saying, hey, we want you to thrive too. We want you to own a business too. We want to do these things. XI, we want to help you start your startup. So there's much more of a collaborative environment in Colorado Springs for people to start a business. It's become much more of a friendly environment, and it's much easier to start a business today than I think it was 20, 25 years ago.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, because there's just so much more. There's just a lot more support systems, and a lot of it's just been organizations like one of the key people is Iktha. I mean, let's talk about what she's done in the community with the SBDC, and now she's at the SBA. That woman has done a lot for our business community, and she should get like some lifetime achievement award or something, right? And there's people like that, like Vance Brown that's running XI, and he's taken his success and his massive multi-million-dollar exit from the sale of his tech company, and he's put it towards good, right? There's a lot of people that have had a lot of success that said, what, we're going to pour back into the community and we're going to do some good things for Colorado Springs. So I think it's that supportive environment that's been the biggest change. And you really see it like in 1 Million Cups, for example. There for a long time, we were actually the go-to 1 Million Cups organization in the United States. Like when the 1 Million Cups board members would go to Kansas City when the Kauffman Foundation would have their annual meeting, they'd be like, what are you guys doing in Colorado Springs? You guys are the most successful chapter in the United States. And it's really because we've focused on building our community together. And so that's been the coolest thing to see, is just that environment, I guess, for people to collaborate and go out and start business and do some cool stuff.
How do we strengthen that environment? How do we make it even better?
I think the most important thing is that when people do achieve success, don't forget where you came from. You know, I think people sometimes have a tendency to say, "Oh, I did this," or "I," you know, and success,
they move up to Denver, or something.
Yeah, they move up to Denver or whatever. It's like, man, success doesn't happen on your own. Like, there's a little bit of luck sprinkled in there. There's a lot of effort. There's a lot of mentorship. I mean, one of the most important things I have is I have a really good network of mentors, like of people that I can go to and say, "Hey, I don't know what to do right now with my business," or I don't know what I'm thinking, or am I out to lunch on this concept or this idea, right? And so having like some, you know, really good mentors and becoming that mentor once people achieve success, I think that's important. So I think it's just continuing that legacy, right? Continuing to pour into the people that are coming up through the ranks, so to speak. And that's important to continue passing that on, right? I think that's how you keep that going, for sure.
Yeah. So say how would I pass that on? What's one thing I could do?
Well, I think you're already doing it, man, with this podcast.
Nice.
I think.
Good. Then I'm done. No, just kidding.
But here's the thing: by inviting people such as myself, and I watch this podcast and I see a lot of people that have had success, that are community builders and all that. Share the knowledge, right? Share the truth. Yeah, I had to part-time drive for Amazon while I was running a winery. Even though it was a successful winery, right? I had to put myself to almost utter burnout. Let's be honest with entrepreneurship. It's not always easy. It's worth it, in my opinion. I love what I do. But there were times I tell you, there was a guy down here, south part of town. He was looking for somebody to clean up all his redwood because he had to cut out his rotted deck. And I was like, oh, I can make an extra $250. I went and threw all his wood and then took it to the dump. And I made a quick $250 because I needed the money. See, that's the thing entrepreneurs and people don't tell you. And that's why like having podcasts and these conversations, really important.
Yeah.
Because people got to know that it's not all, you know, I'm not a millionaire or I'm all successful. Do I make good money? Do I have a nice house on the east end of town? Do I have a nice car and a cool truck that I can go camping in? And do I get to enjoy life? I'm going to California to see Tiffany's dad here in a few days. Yeah, I get to enjoy life. But there's been some times, man, where you're just like, dude, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I'm
that is so true.
Wiped out, right? And so that's why having a podcast like this and interviewing people in the community that have been there, done that, been through the ups, been through the downs, everything in between, just gives encouragement to other people. So I think that's one of the big things that your podcast does for the community. Is it just gives people a real honest look at entrepreneurship and can help encourage people and give them the little nuggets of this or that to help them with their business, right? And I think it's really important.
Yeah,
really important.
And I appreciate that. And like our goal is to only improve the show even as we go. Every episode is, you know, it evolves like 2% every episode. So
yeah. Well, you know, Mimi the Motivator, what she says, just get 1% better today in this aspect of your life. It's true. Just focus on 1% on something, whatever it is.
Yeah, that's also from the book Atomic Habits as well.
Oh, okay.
Where they focus on specific increasing 1%.
You're the third person in the last month that's mentioned that book to me. I need to pick up that book.
It's by James Clear. Like, I actually don't usually know authors, but if I know the author, I know it's probably a good book, at least in my opinion.
That's funny. Yeah. Okay, that's a prompting. I need to get that book.
Yes, and you as well, listening.
What goes with your original message, consistency, right?
Yeah.
Like that's all you're talking about. I think oftentimes a lot of people see the shiny things of entrepreneurship, like you're talking about the journey of like success, big houses, nice cars, and all these different things.
Yeah.
It's not about that, man. You got to adopt the journey. You got to adopt the process. And no one is out of the realm of possibility of going through a lot of pain. In fact, that's what you have to do to be successful. So like, I love that you share that story of what you had to do, whatever it takes mentality. And the fact that you are battle tested is why you're such a great pillar in this community, because you know the ups and downs. You've been through them. And so someone who has not been through that and they see that with you, it makes their journey not seem as dim, as lonely,
Yeah,
that's
you're not
super
alone.
special.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks for that, man. Yeah, we're not alone on this journey for sure, and we all got to band together, man. It's critical. So,
yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
I think just one more thing. If you know anybody listening to this, if you know an organization like a Thrive or Survive and Thrive, right? And they need somebody to come in and just teach a 1-hour class on sales and teach people how to do that 1-page sales plan. That's something I really love to do for the community. It's really funny. The days I get to teach, I'll be laying in bed that morning and talking to Tiff, and I'll go, guess what? She's like, what? I said, I get to teach today. And I love that. So organizations like that, if they need somebody to come in and speak and help them out, I'd just love to come help any way I can. So just really excited about that. So yeah.
Sweet, awesome, man.
Yeah.
Also, Evergood doesn't have like a Christmas theme. It had like a hottie totty type of. You said it with me last year, and maybe you can get that a shout out because that was amazing, man. That hottie toddy.
Aren't you saying Bell Brothers serves that, right?
Yeah. So it's called Heartwarmer, and it's the lemon wine is the base, and then they do what they call mulling, which is kind of very popular in Scandinavian and German traditions. So Matthew actually slow cooks cranberry, cinnamon, and clove for a few hours, lets it cool, and then blends it in with the lemon wine, lets it sit for a couple weeks and lets those flavors really mature. And then we pouch it in our Heartwarmer pouches, which is a 2-bottle pouch. We call it the share size. And it's great for the holidays. A lot of times people just dump it in a crock pot, right? And then just turn it on warm. It's like it makes the house smell good. And then when your guests come over, just ladle it in a coffee mug. And so Heartwarmer is a great one. And what's really cool is we've got ski resorts on it now, like Copper Mountain. They're going through somewhere between 5 and 10 cases a week.
Nice.
At Copper Mountain. Iron Mountain Hot Springs on the Heartwarmer in Glenwood, they're going through 3 cases a week of Heartwarmer.
And this is seasonal, right?
Yeah, it's a seasonal. It's a winter seasonal. It'll go through the end of February once things start to warm up. Sales kind of.
Can people order it online?
They can order it online. Yeah, they can definitely order it online. Okay. So if they're not local, it's available, I think, like 45 states or something like that. Nice. If they want to order it. If they're in California, they can get it at Rayleigh's grocery store. We did a deal with them. We put it in 25 stores. And
nice.
So
that's got to be fun to like organize those kind of deals.
Oh, it is. Deal making's a lot of fun, man. That's probably one of my favorite pieces of it. We did a deal with Winter Park Ski Resort this year. Oh, man. We got our cans in there, and just that whole process of trying to figure out how to make it work for both parties is kind of fun. It's really cool. So
nice. And what was the website?
For Evergood, it's just www.evergoodadventurewines.wine.
Nice.
So, yeah.
.wine, okay.
.wine. Yeah, we still have our .com address, but we're actually migrating everything over to .wine now. So
for sure.
Yeah, which is kind of
branding
cool.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, which is neat. So.
It's like, why do we need the com anyways? Just because it's popular.
Yeah, exactly. That's where everybody starts, right?
Yeah. It's kind of shows I think it gives an impression of professionalism, I guess. But I think that's just the false belief that people have. So
yeah.
We dropped the www. We could drop the .com. I don't even know what the com stands for. I know what the www stands for.
Yeah.
Not the com.
Yeah.
communications. I don't know. Probably.
Who knows?
This has been great, man. Thank you so much for coming on. I love that you come on every year. It's been great reconnecting with you. Thank you so much for your time.
No, thanks for having me. And you guys are, like I said, you guys are doing a great service for the community. So I'm a regular listener to podcasts. I think it's awesome what you guys are doing.
Nice.
It's pretty cool, man.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and like you said, if you're delivering Amazon right now, it's a good thing to listen to. I think podcasts like these, you don't have to listen to this one, but like if you're delivering for Amazon, to make ends meet for your business, I think that's a good time because you can listen to stuff, or can you? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a podcast junkie and then an Audible junkie. We talked about books earlier. My windshield time is not wasted, man. That's do not waste your windshield time for sure.
I like to consume a lot of content while I'm driving. Sometimes I just feel like listening to music. Sometimes I just feel like listening to nothing. But I think if you're having to do Amazon Flex or deliver for that, it's good to make sure that you can get out of that, and that's my meter. So
there we
time's
go.
up.
That's the time.
All right. Well, this has been the COS Business Podcast, and subscribe.
We'll see you guys on the next one.
And like it and comment.
That's awesome. That was great, man.
Woo, that was good, brother, for sure. Always good with you. You're good.